Thank you. What up, fam? Now we have a quorum because I always want to use that term, quorum.
I was wondering if my speaker was working. Oh, I can't hear Dr. Ron.
I can't hear him neither. You still on mute.
You might need to reboot, Dr. Ron. It looks like your microphone is not capturing anything. Can't wait to hear you, Brother Lightborn, because I know you got the secret sauce to this subject matter.
I think all of us got some sort of ingredient that we got to add to this. It's not going to be a one ingredient. I can hear you now. I can hear everyone, but I can hear you.
You can hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, you
There's an
echo.
echo, but at least we can hear you.
Give me 1 second. All right, what about now?
I think it's good.
Okay, good. Listen, that's why you got to have 2 laptops. They got to be running simultaneous. And we're good to go. I got all this popping. All right, we're good to go. Okay. Good night, everybody. Hey, if there can be a problem, sometimes there will be. There's nothing you can do about it, but wait and see what happens next. But again, welcome to the Fatherhood Think Tank. It is the 90 minutes of fathers talking about father issues for fathers about fatherhood, and we come to you tonight with another great topic, and I think a big part of that is I seen the movie last night. Well, first I seen a clip of the movie, and I don't like, sometimes you want to advertise. You don't want to become an advertiser for things, but there's this movie on Tubi, because I usually Tubi's free, so you get to watch Tubi. Called Cognac and Cards. It's a kind of fictional movie, but a realistic movie, fictional, about these 4 guys who get together to play cards and the issues they went through. It's very good topics, but it made me think about, in that conversation and listening to them talk, to bring and think about a top conversation, and how we kind of talk a little bit about how to, at some point, what happens to us and how can we be a better man, husband, and father. And somebody would say, hey, why did you put it that way, right? Because I do believe in the hoods. I call them the 5 hoods: boyhood, childhood, manhood, husbandhood, fatherhood, and in that order sometimes. And just because we don't go in that order, don't mean we can't find a way to get back to that place we need to be within in that hood setting. So I said, let me bring this to the floor tonight, and let's have a little conversation, because a lot of people feel, I realize, and going around talking to fathers and other men about being fathers, being a husband, a lot of us by human nature think that we're good at it and we do a good job, right? And I always say, well, is there any way for us to be better? And if it is, what is it that we can gain and learn to be better, that sometimes people, we may not search out because everything is going good for us, and that people may not even search out because they may say it's not worth, we might not listen, or they think that what we're doing is fine and good as long as it fits what they want. So I bring that topic tonight, and I definitely wanted to, throw it down on the fatherhood floor for us to really evaluate and look at, how that kind of plays out. How can we be better men? How can we be better husbands? How can we be better fathers? And not so much that it has to go in that order, because sometimes I have a belief that sometimes they can mix around and make you become better, right? Like you might not be a better man at first, but you may become a father or you may become a husband who then makes you a better man. Sometimes you might not have been either a husband or a father. Just, you might have been a husband and might have made you become a better man. So, throwing that out here and see where that kind of plays for our tonight's conversation. As we do that, I want to just welcome and let the fathers in the think tank introduce themselves for tonight's conversation. And by the way, I'm Dr. Ron, the fatherhood curator.
Good evening, gentlemen. My name is Ed Tenney. I am a transitioning to be a single dad. I'm a father of 3 biological adult children. I have 2 grandkids with 1 grandkid on the way. Good to be with you guys.
Hey, good afternoon, gentlemen. My name is Lionel Lightborn. I'm a father to a tribe of 7 young adults, 4 young men, 3 young women, 1 granddaughter, 1 grandson. And today is my baby daughter, my youngest daughter's birthday. So happy birthday to you, sweetheart. Amani, I love you and wish you all the best.
Well, I mean, let's wish Amani a happy birthday. You got a platform and you got certain things you always want to be able to shout those people out and give those people the flowers and things that they really do deserve, because you have a platform to do so. So again, happy birthday to your baby girl and wish her the best in all her endeavors. All right, so who wants to take a crack at this first?
Not me.
Go ahead. Yeah,
No.
Not you.
Brother Lightborn.
Okay. I think if we're gonna answer this question justly, I guess, the topic on to be a better man, husband, and father, and then I think we would have to do this or have this conversation like we do laundry. We have to prioritize the colors from the whites and the different fabrics, and decide on what we're going to do first, which load, depending on how we prioritize it, which clothes are easier to wash first versus the ones will take longer, which ones will take more effort, whether they need to go through more of a rinse cycle than the other clothes we're going to wash. So I think that's why so we'd have to deal with that like that. Whether we deal with the man first, do we deal with our father first, do we deal with the husband first, and then what category, or when we itemize them or prioritize them, which one comes first, the man, the husband, or the father? Mm. And then we got to have even for the lack of a better word, a realer conversation about what it truly takes to be that, and where do we often where do we often substitute for success? And what I mean by substitute for success is because we may just peak at being fathers, right, and never really want to step up to the task of what it is to be husbands. You understand? So that's the thing. I think that's going to be the hardest one, because I think the deficit it's more of a deficit of us being husbands than it is us being fathers. Right. And I think that's the deficit that we need to really address the most, because contrary to popular belief, I don't care how much you love your child, that child still loves that mother. And so you got to figure out how to figure out how to reconcile those two. And so that's the conversation I don't think we've had. I think because for the most part, we're pacified as men, and society takes whatever little success we can offer. And so there's no real demand put on the moral success that we can accomplish. Everything is monetary, but no real moral success. And guess what? You'll see the laws is set up as just. Like, you don't really want to be no fathers, but what you need to do is give money. You understand? As if we're not capable of giving time and becoming better ourselves. And so they don't think we, almost to the point that society says we don't have really much to contribute morally and ethically to our children. And I think that's the major conversation that we're going to have. So that's where I want to start at with that.
So if we was to do that, let's jump right into pulling out the first thing we want to wash is, I guess, is being a man, and this thing of not being a man. Because when I talk about being a man, I guess our major concern is how can you be a better man, and what does it mean in some instances to be a better man? I mean, is that like some people could think that being a better man just mean that you get a job that pay good money, now you're a better man. I used to ask this question to. I didn't ask this question. It was something that was said that to me that I was a good man, right? And I used to feel like I didn't trust that statement of me being a good man. Not that I didn't feel that I wasn't a good man. It was that the reason why they were saying I was a good man had to do a little bit about me doing what they wanted to do in that relationship, right? I did the things that in many instances was a standard for what they believed was good. So that made me a good man. Now, what I think that I used to think about a lot in that whole mix of that was, but is that just temporary? Is that subject to the idea of, because I do what needs to be done and the way you like it, that makes me a good man? And can that be turned off if I decide not to participate or be a certain way? So that's the first thing I kind of throw out. What is it? What does it look like, and how do we kind of like where have you kind of looked at and examined this idea of being a man, and when people are saying you are a good man, or how to be the better man, what does that look like to you, and how does that sound? And I just want to welcome Terry. I know you're driving. You don't have to. You can just chime in when you can. Be careful on the road. We don't want you to nothing to happen to you, brother. But welcome to the Fatherhood Think Tank.
Thank you very much, brothers. It's good to see you in all together here. And like always, we're having a great show where brothers can learn from each other. Thank you all for all your efforts and things that you are doing in the pursuit of working for our Father.
So, in answer to your question, I think for one to be a better man, you have to have a desire first to even, submit yourself to whatever it takes to be a better man, and humility. I'm 65 years old, and I have not arrived. I have not arrived at what I would consider being a man, and I am still a work in progress, and it is my desire to always be better, to always improve, to exercise humility, so I can be willing to learn, to listen, to be introspective, to kind of weed out the things that are of no value to me, in being a better man. So I think desire and humility, those are a couple of words that I would throw out.
Can I ask you a question?
Who, me? Or,
Yes, yes, sir.
oh, sure.
All right, you made a statement that you have not arrived. Why do you feel like you haven't arrived, and arrived to where?
Whoa. Excellent question. I feel like I have not arrived because there's so much more to learn. Um, I'm still learning today as a man, and so I feel like I may not arrive until the Lord takes my last breath. Um, and what was the other question?
Well, no, we'll stick with that one first.
Okay,
I want to make a comment to you about that particular statement you just answered.
all right.
We never will arrive at the top of any level of anything that we do in life. This is just my perception. We never would, like you said, until the day you die, you will
Oh
always
man.
learn something new.
Oh, okay.
And any man that tells me that he has arrived or that he knows everything, he knows nothing. Because we are always learning something new. Some people picturate in their mindset to think that's the way that person is. He's a thief, he's a killer, he's a crackhead, he's a alcoholic, not knowing that they can change. And we are always evolving and changing. And our Father wants us to know that. You have arrived to this day. You opening your eyes and you see this day. You on this line on the think tank. You here. So you have arrived here to talk to us. But be not mindful of thinking that you haven't arrived somewhere that you already are there. Many people are not here. There are some that's not here. They have not arrived. And like you say, until the day our Father take you and call you, you would arrive to him then at that time. But as of right now, you have arrived to the think tank. And our Father wanted you to say what you just said. You delivered a message today. And the message was, we there are some of us that have and think that they haven't arrived somewhere. But you did say something that was profound, that we are learning every day. And that is the goal, is to keep learning and to keep serving. So every minute and day that you are here, you have arrived. The minute you open your eyes, you have arrived. Every day you open your eyes, you have arrived. Now, world, deal with me. I'm not locked up with you. You locked up with me. And that is just a message I just want to pass to you. Because me and you have arrived at this time to have this conversation. And I want to thank you for that statement. Now, the second thing I asked you, do you remember exactly how I phrased it? Hello?
I'm sorry. The second thing you asked me.
Hello?
Yeah, she needs you to repeat it.
Hello?
He needs you to repeat it again, Terry.
Yeah, can you hear me? Can you repeat the second question?
You might be having to get some bad connection.
Hey, Terry, we can't hear you no more. I mean, we can see you, but we can't hear you. It's like you're in the dead zone or something.
Well, let me while we see if Terry can come back, let me just respond to what you just said, Ed.
Hold on, Ron. What's wrong with you, man? You got to introduce the other father who just jumped up.
Oh, you know what? Listen, I forgot that he had just came in. I'm sorry.
You can't forget that, brother.
I'm sorry, Tony.
Hello?
We hear you now, Terry. Well, you're gonna do this introduction first.
I can't hear you.
Brother Terry, you can't hear us?
I can hear you now.
All right. Let me just do a quick introduction, and he wanted you to repeat the second question you had asked. That's what he was asking you, and then you went into a dead zone, so we couldn't hear you.
Well, no, I kind of intermingled both. You know, what I was stating to him was why he felt he arrived, and he stated why, and I made a statement about that to tell him what I thought about that. So it kind of was answered together with what the answer. I mean, with the statement that I had made.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, I've arrived.
I don't know how much you heard while I was speaking and when I was cut off.
I heard everything.
Where I was cut off at because I had to wait for a minute to hear you guys.
No, we heard everything you said, and then that's when you asked him if he heard your question, if he can respond to your question, and then that's when you cut off.
Okay, got it.
We heard everything.
Okay, well he can take it from where I last left off at. It don't have to be the second question.
No problem. Well, again, this is Brother Johnny Gaspard. I've arrived. Thank y'all very much. I'm a father of 2 grown adults. They still eating in my pocket, so I'm trying to figure out when that will end, but God knows when. In the meantime, I continue to be a loving father, loving husband, and trying to get better at all of those things per this topic tonight. So I didn't hear what the initial question was about the arrival, but I definitely understood what Brother Terry was saying, is that once we wake up, we've arrived. So the opportunity is to do something once you show up. What are you going to do once you show up and you arrive? So that's what I try to do each and every day and aspire to do every day, as far as being a great husband, a better husband. Because I'm definitely not great at it, but a better husband and a better father. I think I have worked on the fathering a little longer than the husbanding. So the fathering part, I feel like I have a better grasp on that. My kids may back me on that one, so I'll let them at some point testify as to that part. The husbanding, I'm still working on that. And my wife will tell you, I have my, like we all, good days and bad days. But as long as I keep persevering through it, we in this race together until death do us part. At least that's what we vowed anyway. Unless she tell me something too crazy and I got to choke her out. But God is. He will help me through that, even that difficult time. But again, that's how we strive every day to be better husbands and better fathers. Amen. Amen. You know what I was thinking? I was listening to you guys talking about the arrive thing. And I was like, I don't think most men
I can't hear you like born.
Y'all can hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay.
I think Brother Terry is having difficulty with
Terry,
his
can you hear me?
connection.
Terry.
Still can't hear you.
Terry,
Yeah, everybody else can hear me, but it's like it must be back in the dead zone again, Terry.
I suggest Terry cut your camera off, and because the camera takes up a lot of the width band, and then we can still you can probably hear better in that capacity.
It would help if he could hear you say that. He
I
probably
just heard him. I didn't hear Lightborn.
No, I mean, you okay?
Him. Can y'all hear him?
Yeah, they can hear me. So Terry, you're able to hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, so wow. He can hear me, but he can't, for whatever reason, hear Lionel.
Right.
Yeah, you may have to get out and get back in.
Yeah, that might be what you have to do, Terry. Log out and then log back in, because for you to just be able, I came in after y'all, so maybe that's why you're able to hear me. So you may have to log out and come back on.
Okay. All right.
Okay. All right. So he did say he heard that, so he's going to log back out and come back on. Okay. Well, I can hold the comment for now, but I was when you guys said about the arriving thing, and I thought about it, and I'm like, wow, you know what? Particularly men and people as a general, but men, we don't have an arrival or an arriving or arrival problem. That's not really our issue. Our issue is really awareness. And so it was never about arriving. I think we use arriving as a status, you understand, to take away from the service of us not being aware. That make any sense?
Mhm.
Again, we use arriving in the sense of arrival being like we have arrived as a status to take away from the service of us not being aware. And so God don't want you, and I think God don't expect you because we owe him to be more aware than we do arrive. Matter of fact, we can never accomplish arrival anyway because he's the judge of that. That's the whole purpose of the judgment. And so, but he does expect you to be aware because being aware makes us accountable to the curse, right? Let me say it again. Being aware makes us accountable to the curse. For all my non-church going people, what that simply means is when Adam and Eve ate of that tree, that forbidden tree was the tree of knowledge, i.e., aka being aware. And so because of that, we will always be charged with that accountability of being aware. God will definitely expect you to do that, and be it saved or non-saved. You say my people. There's so many scriptures that speak to it that my people suffer for the lack of knowledge. Give me some more. Where there's no vision, the people perish. Stuff like that. Study to show thyself approved, workmen rightly dividing the word of truth. And so when you have those type of things,
first the kingdom of God.
Gotcha. Right, exactly. There you go. And so, he don't expect you to arrive, but he do expect you and put accountability on you to be aware. And that's the part I'm going to leave right there.
That's a good word.
I love how Mrs. Lakeborn in the back giving him something. I love that.
You know, y'all forgot she was right in the background to cut into my soliloquy.
But yes, Rod, go ahead, Teddy.
No, I was just gonna say that that's a very good word, and it's a cause for a reframing of my thinking. I mean, to be accountable for what I know. And that's deep. Appreciate that.
Y'all see me got on my Buddha scarf, so there you go. Channeling my inner Buddha.
So Ryan, you want to reiterate the topic again?
Oh, so you can be updated. So I'm sorry, he came in the middle. So we're just talking about the topic is how to be a better man, husband, and father. And we would actually, let's just take a turn from this because we were, supposed to be separating the clothes, and we went into the idea of what it means to be, or this idea of being good or better as a man. So let's transfer now into the area where each one of you guys can talk directly about, because of your experiences with that, being a husband. Is it ways to be a better husband? And who, again, it comes back to what I said about being a man. Who is determining that the integrity or the validity of you being better? Like who's making the we would want to think that first person who would think that would be your partner, right? Because that's who you would be married to, and that's the person that you would have to have that, and they would speak first and foremost about But I also feel like for me it's always been you should be the first person to speak about yourself and what happens. That has always really been something that to me is you should be the first person to be able to speak and advocate for what you have and haven't or not have done or didn't do, because if not, you won't ever have do you ever have a leg to stand on if you don't already have a standard for yourself for what is good or how that you need to be better, or that you're not being as good as you could be.
I love that explanation, Ron. I need to have a standard for myself before I can look at and see whether or not I am. There's a need for me to be better, or can I get better at being the husband? But if I don't have a standard for me, then how do I know if I'm bad or getting any better? So I think that's a great perspective to have, and even as a father or as a husband or as a man in general. But I think I keep saying I think part of it is getting a standard. I think comes from, or I believe comes from, having an example of that. And sometimes you are unable to establish a standard because you don't know what a standard is as far as what is good. You just know what is based upon your experience. So if what your experience is a man who has, or a father who was not present, or a father who was abusive, or a father who was good, what one would say, involved, or a father who was the opposite of all of that thing, then that's probably where your standard would come from for you. And then there's some of us, as some men, that because there was no father at all in their life, they established the standard they want for themselves to be completely opposite of that man who was absent. So now they have a standard. So I think that's the first part. So I agree with you wholeheartedly, Dr. Ron, on that. You first have to have that standard. I think once we have established that standard for ourselves, then we could go up or down the ladder in reference to whether we are good, better, or best. And some of us, and as you did say so eloquently, our partner will be the one that may talk to us about whether or not we're a good husband or not. And sometimes, and I pray this isn't my wife's story to tell, but sometimes they may just feel like it's okay to just have a husband, because there's some partners that may just be okay with having a partner. There's somebody that's present, that's there, rather than them being by themselves. So, and I would hate for that to be her story to tell. That clearly means I'm falling short somewhere.
Well,
and I might need to have a sit down with Dr. Rod and her in a therapy session so we could get a little clarity on where our relationship is.
Johnny, I don't want you to be too hard. Listen, Johnny, I want you not to be too hard, because you just said something that was so important. I think when we're looking at couples and relationships, is that sometimes people need more from you than really is your responsibility. Right. Okay. And that then makes you not good, because you're not providing what they need. And what they need is some things they should have did beforehand, before coming and union with you. Right.
Good point. Good point.
And I think I want to keep that in people's mind, because I've seen it this is something that is seen very often, but people will not they won't accept it. They won't be honest. They won't be honest and truthful, transparent, that I'm coming to this relationship with a lot of deficits, and I need you to fill in those deficits. And if you're not, then you're not a good person. Whereas maybe if you happen to got involved with somebody else who didn't have all that, they would be like, "This is the best man I ever." This man is a good man. He does it. They don't have a high, like, listen, it's like a draft pick, right? Top draft people get a number one draft pick and say, this guy going to take us to the next Super Bowl. Since we're getting out of the Super Bowl football, he's going to take us directly to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But he got, some injuries from high school, some college that you just don't, he has some stuff that you didn't know. And now you're saying, hey, this guy's a bust. But listen, you put a lot more expectation on him than you really needed to, because you wanted more from him than you would just want if everything was, balanced for you. So
I definitely agree with you on that. And the metaphor, the comparison you just used with the draft pick and relationships as far as we have. But I do agree that sometimes when we are in a relationship, the person that we are partnering with, we may have certain expectations of them because of deficiencies that we have in ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
or again, like I said, experiences we've had which have established a standard, whether it be great or not. Because I know that dude who marries my daughter, oh, he gonna have to live up to a whole lot. Because from Jump Street, if he ain't opening the door, he gonna have a problem. Because that's what she's experienced. You got me? And I think and it's so funny. Her and I were talking. She's like, "Dad, I went out with this guy, and we were talking. I thought he was cool. I thought he was somebody. But then when we started conversing, I realized, yeah, you ain't gonna pass my daddy test, so I ain't gonna even about to waste your time. We good though. We good. And you're good to hang out with. But as far as introducing you to my daddy, that ain't happening." And I was like, "What do you mean?" "Well, first of all, we went out, he came pick me up, and he ain't opened the door." Again, daddy, that's me. I ain't make a big deal about it, but I noticed it. I said, "Oh, you." So this is a conversation I'm having with her. And I said, again, it's about standards that you have experienced. So when you meet somebody, and now I've learned this too, and unfortunately, this because this is I will use the word unfortunate, because this is my second go round at being a married man. I've learned that when you go into becoming married, oftentimes when we go through the process of quote unquote counseling, we don't ask all the questions that need to be asked to determine whether or not there are certain issues or deficiencies that we both have that we may need to address before becoming a union, or are they deficiencies we're willing to work on together as we become a union, if that's something we talk about. So when we don't ask those questions, we end up with what Ron said is somebody who we thought was going to cook, but I never asked her if she cooks. So now here I am mad because she ain't cooking, which is creating a issue in our relationship, not because I can't go get me some food to eat out in the streets, but because I'm expecting her as my spouse, my partner, to cook a home cooked meal now and again. So that creates some tension because I failed to ask certain questions. Now, does that mean that she's not a good wife? To some man, yeah. But to me, it'd be like, oh, it's all good because I ain't want you for cooking anyway. That ain't why I married you in the first place. So again, I think for us as men, it's about the standard we've established, what we expect from our partner, what our partner expects from us. And a lot of times that comes out through a lot of, sadly, a lot of learning experiences, when if we ask the right questions in the beginning, we may able to avoid some of the pitfalls that we run into in marriages, and then having to try to be a better husband because you didn't understand or know your partner's expectations. Now shut up.
Teeny, I'm gonna let you go. You need to go ahead and say it. Why you gotta say it, Teeny? You better say it.
No, man. I don't know. The husband thing. I'm not. I don't know. I don't feel worthy. I feel like I've lost credibility. Since I'm going through this divorce. So I'd rather listen.
Wow.
That is extremely powerful.
Listen. So, Brother Teddy, just so I heard, if I'm hearing what I heard right.
The lawyer asking you, did he hear it right? Because in comparison to what he hears all the other times, this is going to be good. Go ahead.
What you're telling me is because of the experience you're now going through, you don't believe you can impound any wisdom regarding being a husband because, quote unquote, the world would say you have failed at it because you're going through this divorce? Is that what I'm hearing you say? I know you thinking.
It's difficult, man.
No, if that's what it is, that's what it is. I just wanted to know.
Yeah, I don't know. That could be it. I just feel like I wouldn't know what to say at this moment.
I guess that's fair. Lake boy.
No, I have to. You know what? The closest I got um, to feeling what Teeny or empathizing with what Teeny is going through, and you got to understand, I'm on the positive side of it because I'm still married to my wife. We still get along, et cetera, et cetera. But I had to put myself in the shoes, and the closest I can get to putting myself in the shoes, I'm like, what is it? What is it that he's projecting, right? Even if you don't have the words for it. And then it dawned on me, and I said it before on the show, and I'll say it again. I'm like, wow, he missed what the Bible calls when a man findeth a wife, he findeth a good thing. He missed that good thing, and when we think it's the wife, I'm like, no. It's,
Right.
It's the marriage. Actually, the marriage is the good thing. And so he even if she wasn't a good wife, he valued what the marriage made him. And often we blame other people for not making us what the marriage should have made us. And so he actually at a place where and I'll be honest with you, he's at a place where most people will probably never get in their whole life, because he misses something. And guess what? I'm not saying she's not part of it, but he misses what he was. You understand? And the very purpose and the mission of being that good thing. Yes, I'm like, you're right. But I'm gonna be honest with you, I couldn't really empathize with that if I wasn't married either. Because I have to put myself in his position and say, without my wife, how would you feel today? That, God forbid, where are you? And that's when I said I would miss it. So that's what that good thing means.
I analyzed that a little. I analyzed what you're saying a little bit more, like born into the context of, because there's many people who may process that, but I think that also, and I would say what people are listening who are planning and thinking about going towards this type of union of getting married and being involved, thinking about, are you marrying the person or are you marrying the mission? You know, I think this is where it becomes that when the mission that you have fails. Now, and if it fails, you have to begin to look at this mission was really between two team members, and did we do everything we needed to do to, you know, be successful in our mission? And if we and a lot of times we don't. Maybe sometimes we don't get enough time to find out, you know, will that team member, will that soldier that I got to go to war with be ready for some of the things that we need to do to achieve our mission? You know, not everybody else, and not everybody made out to be them secret agents, right? They're not able to just let things go. You know, Robert De Niro saying he said you got to be able to just walk away and do this and do. And sometimes people can't let go of certain things. They can't let go of what they think the world should still be for them, even though they're supposed to be on a mission with another person. And the only thing that should be important is that mission with them, right? And so we don't kind of look at it that way. So it can. Listen, we getting. I just know that look like we not going down a rabbit hole. We look like we going up a tree of life with this conversation, because because it's something that just sparked in this idea. Now it's not just as simple about getting married and who you get married to. It now going into your purpose, and what is your purpose of you deciding to get married, and from there, listen, I'm just gonna tell you right now, if your purpose is meaningful and if you are transparent with each other what your purpose is, everything else usually just falls right in line. If you're going to have kids, you're going to have kids. If you're not going to have kids, you don't feel pressure of the kids having kids. Like the couples I know who've been married 40 and 50 years with no kids, and people can't understand, well, they ain't had no kids, but they're super happy with each other and they enjoy each other. That means that they connected and that they're on their mission for what they're doing. I know this. I know personally some of them, and they do more for people and other kids and other people's kids that has been very successful to build the community around them, even though they didn't have kids themselves. So it is this. I think that, you know, where this conversation went, and now we have this overhanging sun. I'm gonna call it overhanging sun shining on us right now to really think about. We have to really put together what our mission is, because if we go on this, we decide to go on a mission and it fails, we sometimes can't be as honest as Tenny, right? To accept our role, even though it wasn't some of our role, right? Our role in the failure of the mission. We've been conditioned and trained to say, look, it was the other person, and I'm gonna go find somebody else to go on another mission to prove that I was right, that they was wrong. And that really doesn't ever work, because whatever was the failure continues to be the failure. You know, the guy was asking some questions this weekend, and every person he asked the question to, I told him that they didn't answer it right. They didn't answer his question. And I almost wanted to stand up and say, well, because the validity of your questions is not them not answering the question right. It's you who asked the question, and your question is not valid, and it has no validity to what you want to ask them and want to get from them.
So it does what it does. Ron, that was a great point, and I definitely.
So, word about mission.
Yes, and I definitely went there because this is my second go round in this relationship of marriage, and I definitely felt when the first time when it was ending how Tenny felt, and I think before I keep saying I think before I even joined up a second time, I felt I needed to sit on somebody's couch to deal with what I may have done so that I could be better the second time around. Even though there were points where you're right, Ron, I felt like it wasn't me. It was all her.
Mm-hmm.
But I still said, before I could even go somewhere with somebody else, I need to see what it is that I'm dealing. What am I missing? What wasn't it that I was, wasn't I good enough? Was it something that I did that led them to feel the way they did, or for us to be where we are? So those are things that I felt I needed to do. And I remember my current wife asking me before we even got involved, and we're in year 9 now. He said, "Did you sit on anybody's couch? You have since you're divorced?" And I was like, "Yeah." She said, "Okay, we could talk then." I was like, "Why?" She said, "Because if you haven't sat on nobody's couch to deal with the trauma of that, because that is trauma." And I'm not even gonna lie to you. When that happened, I felt like I had lost part of me. When they said 2 join as 1, that is an emotional and spiritual thing that when that does end, I don't care how much you dislike the person, unless they put you through some, they were threatening your life and try to take your life or something crazy like that. And even then, there's still a love for them because you remember the good person that existed in them, that there is still somebody good there. So it was definitely a traumatic experience for me. So I definitely understand where Tenny is coming from, but I still believe that you have something to impart, because I would tell you in my experience as a husband, the first time around, I paid attention. But I think part of it too was I was so involved in being a father that there may have been moments that I missed in being the husband. So
wait, listen. Here we go. Listen. I love to listen to this, so I can. Oh man, I get excited because no. Listen, Johnny, what you're describing is the part where you're able to turn around and say, "Oh, I might not be good at. I have evidence that I was good at something, right? I was good at it, and it wasn't. This didn't help to justify. Oh, I did all I could do because I did good at this part.
Correct.
But it wasn't the same thing. We heard many times that state of, he's a good father, just wasn't a good husband.
Yeah, you hear that a lot. Yeah.
And the issue is a lot of times when we get to the point, we then say, I don't care about being good. I don't care about it anymore. I'm just going to take care of my kids, right? I'm going to make sure they're good. And sometimes that is it's almost like drinking some backwash, because really, if you two are not really as good as you say you are, those kids are never going to be as good as we would want them to be. We
Correct.
feel like they are. We can
Correct.
say everything is hunky dory. We all got smiley faces. We still socially whatever, but there are still some rooted things that then when they go to their person, they're going to carry that same kind of
That experience,
learned behavior from the family
they went through. And that's why, listen, I ain't gonna even lie, it was important for me because our kids were 14 and 11 when I divorced initially. So I made sure they went and sat with somebody, because I know that if it hurt me the way it hurt me, and I'm a grown adult that could take the hitting, as they say, I could only imagine what it did to them. And I felt that and I know, and Ron just said it perfectly, I believe children only repeat and can do what they have seen. No matter how much we try to tell them they can be better, and there are exceptions to the rule, of course, but children repeat what they have seen, what they have experienced. And no matter what we tell them, don't be like us, don't be like your mama and daddy. But that's what I saw from my mama and daddy. I saw the screaming, I saw the abuse, I saw the fighting. So how do I do something different if there's no one to interject something different? So it was essential and necessary for me so that they don't end up harboring what the experience of their mother and I, harboring that and carrying that on to their own relationships, for them to sit down and get the therapy so that they could talk to somebody about how the experience made them feel. And especially for my daughter, because she was the oldest, I stayed on top of her with therapy, and she still does it to this day, all while she was in college. I said, yo, they give free, they give your college has free access to a therapist. I need you to go see them. You don't have to go every day, but I need you to go see them and take advantage of it, because you are going to be living through this experience, and I want you to be better than what this was. So it's essential. And Ron, that was how I helped them kind of not have to repeat, because I do agree with you. No matter what, even though I might have been a better father than I may have been a better husband, I saw that it would still impact them, and I need them to not have the influence of that experience affecting their life in the future.
And you said it clear, Johnny. As parents, you can tell them, and they will only take that with a grain of salt. We need the outside interventions to normalize it outside of the family, right? Because it's something that we could tell them that this is normal, and they'll say, okay, it's normal, or it's going to be okay, it's going to be different. They still have thoughts about it. They still need to be able to talk about it, still need to be able to present it in a way that they can't present to you because you're a parent. Right. See, people forget that there's a dynamic between kids and parents. I know that you say, kids have autonomy and they eventually get their independent, but they still kids. Grown adults will not say or do certain things to their parents, even though they know that they should, because they're right or whatever. They'll say, okay, yeah, mom, that's good. Yeah, get that. No problem.
Right.
And they may go talk to their auntie or their uncles, and the uncles will validate them, and the auntie will validate that, yeah, your mom, this and that. But it's not, sometimes you got to move from out of that, because you can say, oh, they just biased because of relation. You need that unbiased person that you can tell the narrative to, and then they can tell you and let you, at some point be able to fumble through it with your fingers on what parts is the parts that really affect you, and how is it managing how you operate, not just with them, but with everybody else in the world.
Gotcha.
Yeah, this got very technical.
So I think that's how you determine, like I said, whether you are better than where you were before. Are you a better husband? Are you a better father? I think. All right. Why do I keep saying I think? I'm gonna be better at that. Being a better father comes with that self check of, that check of yourself, that involvement of yourself, seeing who you are. Where do I stand? How do my kids view me as far as a father perspective? Being a better husband comes with communication, speaking to your partner, finding out what is it that's missing? What is it that they don't think you have provided? Or do they feel that there's more that you can do? And sometimes we'll do everything that we possibly believe that our partner desires. We will try to be that husband that's attentive, that asks questions. How's your day, honey? What's going on, baby? Everything good? We'll ask about their job. We'll ask about their social life with their girlfriends. We'll ask about, how their feet feel. We will rub their feet. We will do everything. You need me to wash the dishes? We will do all of those things. And still, there'll be something that we could do better. What that is only comes from one, because we may think, I'm doing it all. I did the laundry this weekend. I washed the dishes. On Friday, she wanted her feet rubbed. I did it without asking her. She was like, oh, you did it without asking. I watched her TV show, and I even asked her how her work was, and I pretended I was listening, even though I actually listened, but it was more pretend than actually involved. But nonetheless, I did all of those things.
Yeah, but did you really do it without asking?
No. That's what I was.
That's what becomes the complicated part of it, because you didn't do it because without asking, you knew that she didn't want to ask you, and she feels that it's validating for you to want to do it without her having
without asking. You're right.
So now you're doing it, and again, to me alone, that makes you a goddamn good partner, because there are some people who don't care. The woman say, my feet hurt so bad, could you just rub them? And they say, no, I'm not doing that. I don't feel like I'm tired of myself. I'm tired too. I worked all day.
My hands hurt. My
hands hurt, right? So there's some, like I said, there is a spectrum of how we kind of define good partners and not good partners. And guess what? That woman who the man said no, she still got up right after that, made him a plate.
Yep.
And dazzled that he's sitting in the house and that he's not about to go out the door. She content with that. So
you can go play some video games.
Right. Exactly. So it's
but Ron, and maybe that's the problem. Maybe the problem we enter marriages rather from an intervention perspective as opposed to prevention, right? Now, from interventions, everything you explained, you're gonna need to go sit on somebody's couch, and you're gonna need a lot of intervention because you never really was intentional, right? About being a husband. You might have been inspired, or in some cases intimidated, right? In a way, about being a husband. But when you become intentional, then and a lot of people, I say, I'm never going to shy away from this because I understand the science of Scripture, right? The science of Scripture is very valid because for counseling you can get empowerment. You understand? You can do some empowering things, but with Scripture and the science of Scripture, you can do some impossible things. And so, for me to be married with 4 baby mamas, you understand? I already know statistically that's a recipe for a failure.
Yeah,
4 baby mamas. That's a recipe for failure. There's no way there's no science, no statistics that justify me getting ready to be married 20 years in November. None. Absolutely zero. Right? But with what I was saying, being intentional. And so I went on a journey, and in the process, now I went on a journey to fall in love with God. That's the strangest part. I wasn't looking for a woman at all. Right? I was gonna try to manipulate that too at the time. But I went on a journey genuinely looking to fall in love with God, to know like who this God really is. I hear your mama talk about it, you hear historical leaders talk about it, but I wanted to get to know him for myself. I had a wonderful God, led me to a wonderful pastor, teacher, taught me a lot, and he taught me some stuff inadvertently. I learned how to be. So just because I wanted to be a better servant, right? Never knew that God was equipping me to do the impossible, which is to be a husband. Truth be told, I always wanted to be married, but I never thought I had what it took to be that. That's just me. That would then cut myself out on it a long time ago. And of course, my circumstances, you understand, and my history and statistics. You understand? So now you're talking about statistically and with all the evidence, because we're talking there, you got to remember, with all the evidence, the outcome says that I'm supposed to be nobody else.
Yeah. But see, I think the point in this was that I hope that the people are listening and liking and they're subscribing right now to this vital part of what you just described, is that you were searching for one thing, and the amazing path of when we go with a mission to do something,
right?
Sometimes this became the true mission, because it was supposed to be the farthest thing from what you should be able to, that you was going to be able to do.
Correct.
Right? This was supposed to be far-fetched. This would be like a never happen in a million years. But because you went to look for him,
right,
the way you need it, he showed you him through giving you a wife.
Ooh.
Right? And by giving you this wife, it reinstilled all the things that the Lord wanted you to see, to how, and again, you know that your marriage has constantly continued to change who you have been as a person.
Correct.
You know, and how you have different, and who you was then and who you are now. So it's some divine interventions when we make the mindset, and this is what I tell about people about therapy. When you make the choice to make a mission and change, anything can happen. There is no limitations to what you can have, but you have to make the choice and say, this is really what I want to do. And look what happened.
But that's the thing about, and I love about being, and what you're saying is, and this is because this is how with the growth and the evolution of it, I was intentional. And so because I was intentional and just wanted to know who God was, right? Then that intention turned into intelligence. And so now I became, literally intelligent on what it was and what it means to really love. Something that I never had the capacity to do on my own, because then I had to go to the standard, which is the scientific scripture. Love is patient. Love is kind. It doesn't. And so now, and because that's what the counselor is going to teach you as well. And so what I had to do is learn about things that I was never capable of. And once I start to say, you know what, I'm gonna put my intention towards that intelligence, and then I'm gonna start to not only exercise it in my godly relationship, but I'm gonna exercise it in my wife relationship, my husband, my marriage relationship. Guess what? Still in my fatherhood, in my friendships, on my jobs, and I start to be on jobs longer when I start exercising. I'm just being blunt, because there's a holistic change that goes along. You think that is one thing, and God is really fixing everything. You understand? And that's what I found. I went for one thing, and God wound up fixing everything, and that's the blessed part about it. So you're right. It's a continual evolutionary growth that we'll never stop experiencing.
And it reiterates the scripture: seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be added unto you. So yeah.
For the best part,
yes, sir.
I will say this. You mentioned something earlier with relation to your kids. From my first wife, that marriage lasted 31 years. So when she passed away, I think my youngest was like 20 years old, maybe. Yeah. I'm trying to remember. So they were all adults when she passed away. My boys have since gotten married, and I can't tell you how impressed I am with these young men doting on their wives. In my first marriage, I will often tell all three of them, listen, your mom was my wife before she was your mother.
Amen.
That relationship is always going to be first. You guys are second, a strong second, but nothing is going to interfere with that marital relationship.
So,
And I see that exhibited so much when I'm watching them. I mean, I'm just in awe at how they dote over their wives, how they take care of them, how they're responsible, respectful. Just watching those boys go at it, it's a tremendous thing to see. So, as a husband in that first marriage, I could truly say uh, I can see the results of that exhibition, if you will, in front of
yes,
them,
yes.
to be able to see how a man should treat his wife. Because watching them, the only unfortunate thing, I think my daughter, who's the oldest, she's still single. I don't know if any man is gonna be worthy.
That's why I'm praying for my daughter that she does. She just somebody got some kind of thing that come in there because you're right.
uh,
That
so
that is the issue there.
I'll leave it there at that.
No. But that's exactly what they saw. They are now experiencing themselves and putting into action because they saw the work, they saw the involvement, they saw the attentiveness. So that's how they're now exhibiting that. So when they speak or to friends or family about why are they that way with their spouse, it's like, well, that's how I saw my daddy with my mama. You know, he was always doing this. He was always this kind of guy with her. So that's why I'm this way with my spouse. And I'm just exhibiting what he's shown me. And unfortunately, again, like I said, in our community with what and I hate to jump on the race bandwagon that our brother from the last couple of meetings before stayed on, but race has played a part in destroying the black family for so long, and racism, I should say, and the history of this country that a lot of times a lot of our children don't get to see that. They don't get to. I asked a lot of people today. I said, "How many of you have seen a married couple? Like they know people that are current that have been married and stayed married, and half of them can't really tell you. Uh, a few may say their grandparents, that they may have seen, but a lot of times they can't even find a couple that they can say, "Oh yeah, I've known and I've seen the marriage," so that I get a firsthand experience of what that's like, so that I can say, "Oh, this is how it's done. This is how I exhibit it." So if you've never seen it, it's just hard to do it. That's why it's always important that there's some way, and as Brother Lightborn shared, God has a way of turning what seems to be impossible to possible. Because if you've never seen it, how do you now become the person to supposedly exhibit it or do it? And it comes from God opening doors for you, bringing people into your lives who they themselves are now exhibiting to you that you would not have ever encountered, but because of them, you're now knowing how to be a better husband or a better father. Um, when I look at this show, and I just wish that we had more young men on here who are young fathers, so that they can kind of hear what we're talking about, so they can glean from us how they can even be better fathers to their children and a better partner to if they're not married to them, because unfortunately many of them now are single dads. But if not even they're not looking to be a romantically involved, how to be a better co-parent. And I think that's ultimately where, again, as Ron shared, understanding the standard you have for yourself to determine whether or not you're better, a good, better, or best from that perspective.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, all of what you just said, Johnny, I think is vitally important. I just want to add the one last caveat to that is people, going and getting involved in these relationships with attention, right? And what your attention is to do. I think that's where a bigger part is, because and listen, I'm gonna put it on you as the man, because you don't have to get in any relationships, right? You can be a bachelor and, you know, fool and move and do all these things, and a lot of people don't like those guys. They say they playboys, they don't do this and that. But I would say that if you know that you don't mean nobody no good, don't play the game, because this is where people are getting hurt. And you know if you're going in with the same kind of attention that all three of you gentlemen expressed tonight, to go into it wanting to be married, wanting to have a partner. You also can, you need also don't feel that you want to do it so bad that you don't balance in doing it, right? Like you guys both said something about your daughters, and as you both said, them finding the men, it's going to be hard, because the idea of finding men who have seen the same thing that you guys have shown them is limited. That's why I use the word limited. It's limited, right? And so automatically from the beginning, these men might have good intentions and really want to be with them, but they're not going to be able to have the capacity that they need to have to be able to be with them. And unless your daughters say, well, he has like boys say, he's trying, and understands that he doesn't have the capacity. I think the main thing is understanding that when you know his background and realize he grew up in a house with, not ever seeing any love. But again, a lot of times when they grow up seeing love, they want love.
Correct.
They want to have that kind of love, but they also don't know what it means and what it looks like. And that's why people have to be negotiable. This is why you need to go to therapy before you're thinking about doing it, because they may want it and be willing to do it, but you're going to say, this is the way I know it, and I want it that way.
Gotcha.
And that's not coming into a relationship equal. That's coming in saying, here is all the things, and this is the way it should go, because this is how I know it. This is how I see it. And almost undermining them because they don't know it. And you're saying, see, I need to teach you and show you how it is. But they have their own idea of what they know they want and how they would want that to be. And they want to create it for themselves. So sometimes you got to say, I'm going to be flexible. I'm going to be a little bit flexible in how it operates. You can know if somebody being a good man, or they're a man that's trying to build with you, because they don't come from the same background as you.
I hear you.
There's a difference. There's a difference between not coming from the same background. Because guess what? Here's the problem. And you get on the tie line, hitch. Interracial couples don't have that same problem, because they accept the differences first.
Gotcha.
You see this? They accept those differences and they don't hold them to a standard. They'll say, oh, they're different. They're way different from me. And they hold you as being the same race. Listen, they don't hold. And somebody say, well, how you not marrying a white guy? He came from a man with no, because that person was more willing to say, I'm going to give you the grace because you came from this and you already different from me.
I hear that. I think that's why my daughter date the white dude now. Lord,
well, it's easier. Is it easier? I think it's easier, but it doesn't. Listen, it's easier initially. I think it's easier initially. But what happens is, if it's your standard, eventually the standard is going to come back. That's right? Yeah. You can't get rid of the standard. You're going to say after a while, they should have learned, just like the man in the same race as you should have learned, that this is my standard.
Gotcha.
But again, interracial couples, that is it is. But I think that also in the other end, he will be more apt to be accommodating and change because he knows there's a difference.
I hear you.
Because they're learning the difference of something they don't know about the person. Whereas we as Black people, we think we're very familiar with each other. We forget that we're from over a million tribes who came to different places all over the world, and that we think that we all just one people, and we're not. And so if we get out of that mindset I think that's a mindset for us as Black people, why our relationships are sometimes more difficult, because we have a mindset that we are a monolithic people.
Gotcha.
Whereas you see people, Italian, French, all these other people, they know that they're all these different things, and they're coming and mixing that. We have kind of been conditioned to believe that we are monolithic. We should all be the same. We should operate the same. We should have the same background. We should have the same everything. And that sometimes I think becomes the failure. And again, shows that how racism and supremacy really destroyed the structures of our families, of multiple tribes of people, into being one people who can't even align in that oneness, because we still have the multiculturalness of who we are genetically.
Yeah, I got you on that. Good point.
Yeah, very
so
good.
Listen, that was a good sum up right there. I mean, that probably is the best way to end with something like that, because that was
good closing thought.
Yeah, that was a big dig. I mean, I think we got two bars of gold out of that. But that being said, listen, man, we started off slow tonight. We had some technical difficulties, but listen, I tell you, at the end of this, man, I know each one of you feel the same way I feel. We feel energized, man. We feel very much more filled in our mind of capacity and mindset than we did when we walked in here at about 7 o'clock, 7:15. And it is this type of thing that we have at the Fatherhood Think Tank that puts us in this place. I just want to, before we get off, let me just run through some of our sponsors really quick, so we can always respect them and show them the love that we need to be able to show. Let's just start with our first sponsor, the man himself, JAG Attorney at Law, Miami-Dade, Broward County, West Palm Beach. Need to get in touch with him. You know, you can find him right at his email address, j.gaspard@jag1law.com. Phone number 305-827-8087. If you need to check out what type of law he provides and what services, check him out at www.jag1law.com. That's our key main sponsor. Our second sponsor is the Zeta Chi Q's, Omega Psi Phi in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Q's out of Fort Lauderdale, a long-time sponsor. We have some of our new sponsors, Zeta Xi Nu chapter, the Lagos, Nigeria chapter. And oh boy, they really was excited about being a sponsor of this. We had a long meeting on Sunday about it. Also, we have the Omega Lambda chapter of Omega Psi Phi right here in the great city of Philadelphia, the Philly Qs, who are also a sponsor. Fathers, if you feel like you need to talk a little bit more after this and you can't get in touch with me through any of the platforms, don't hesitate to call Fatherhood, call a hotline, help for dads. That number is 1-877-4-411. That's offered by the National Responsible Fatherhood Clearinghouse and Fathers Incorporated. So that's the information, that's the dates, that's the sponsors. And with that being said, I want to thank you guys so much, man, for making this always a successful night. I don't think that we've ever had a bad night ever, man. I listen, when I start measuring, I've been on a lot of shows. I have a lot of other shows that I do just as much as I do this one. I don't care what happens. I've never left for one of these shows and felt like I couldn't run a marathon. So that just say that's a strong thing to say, man. And only time I think I was weak on it is when we wasn't on the air. But we're gonna keep that going. That being said, Father, repeat after me. I am a man of honor.
I am a man of honor.
I am a man of courage.
I am a man of courage.
I say I am a man of respect.
I am a man of respect.
Fathers, I say that I am.
I am.
I say that you are.
You are.
I say that we are.
We are
Championship Fathers. As we say, we hold our kids on our arms, our families and the world on our back, and we try to bring you as much knowledge as we have as the fathers that we be. See you here next week, 7 o'clock, Fatherhood Think Tank. 90 minutes of fathers talking about fathers for fathers. And thank you for joining us tonight. Remember, like, share, and subscribe. Remember that this program only works because of these guys here. And we want to really show them love and respect for being here. Let's give some of that going out music as we get ready to get out of here tonight. See y'all next week.
Doing it up, round up, see you doing it up, baby. Have a good night, brother.
all right. You guys be blessed. Thank you.